Airport operator most limiting air ticket sales in year-end holidays. Good evening, viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you information from business, economic, and capital market sector. And as the pandemic is still ongoing, we will provide you the latest COVID-19 information. And please stay safe by taking some simple precautions such as physical distancing, wearing a mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands, and having less mobility. And with me, Fajar Wayong, this is Market Headlines. And let's start market headlines. As a manifestation of its commitment to climate change mitigation, the Indonesian government will use electric cars as the main vehicles for officials during its G20 presidency next year.
The Indonesian government will use electric cars as the main vehicles for officials during its G20 presidency next year as a manifestation of its commitment to climate change mitigations and adaptations. Coordinating Minister for Economic Affairs noted that Indonesia emphasized concerted steps to address environmental and climate change issues. He said that one of the actions to reflect leading by example is that Indonesia will use electric vehicles for officials during the presidency of G20. The government is collaborating with Hyundai Motor Indonesia to provide electric cars for officials during Indonesia's G20 presidency. Hyundai remains committed to providing 42 electric cars for the first Sherpa meeting of Indonesia's G20 presidency in 2022. In addition, it has organized a special training course for would-be drivers of electric cars and set up 2 EV charging stations at the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs. The first Sherpa meeting is part of the series of openers of Indonesia's G20 presidency in 2022 to be held offline in Jakarta on December 6 to 8, 2021. As many as 104 delegations from 39 G20 countries, invited nations, and international organizations are expected to attend the event in Jakarta. IDX Channel reports.
Meantime, viewers, the government recorded that the state revenue and expenditure budget deficit until October 2021 reached 548.9 trillion rupiah. The deficit is equivalent to 3.29% of Indonesia's gross domestic product. The Minister of Finance explained that the deficit was better than the same period last year. Last year, the deficit reached 764.8 trillion or 4.67% of GDP. The lower deficit was due to an increase in state revenues. The former managing director of the World Bank noted that state revenues until October 2021 reached 1,510 trillion rupiah or 86.5% of the state budget target was realized. State revenue grew by 18.2% on an annual basis over the same period last year. State revenues are supported by tax revenues and non-tax revenues.
Total defisit kita mencapai 548,9 triliun. Di dalam APBN, total defisitnya tadinya akan didesain 1.006,4 triliun. Jadi 548,9 triliun itu 54,5% dari target defisit APBN. Dibandingkan tahun lalu yang defisit totalnya mencapai 764,8, ini penurunan 28,2%, drop sangat tinggi. Dan ini adalah menunjukkan kesehatan atau tren yang membaik.
The government has urged the Southeast Asian nations to increase and strengthen cooperation for developing artificial intelligence or AI technology to usher in business efficiency.
Coordinating Minister for Economic Affairs Erlangga Hartarto has urged the Southeast Asian nations to increase the strengthened cooperations for developing artificial intelligence or AI technology to usher in business efficiency. Cooperation will enable the region not only to manage opportunities and challenges arising from AI, but to also strengthen stability and achieve regional prosperity during the digital roadmap in the upcoming years.
Of recent years, one of the most rapidly advanced technology for practical purpose has been the artificial intelligence. AI techniques enable machines to perform tasks that typically require some degree of human-like intelligence. AI technology have been empowered and are increasingly being adopted across numerous applications, ranging from simple daily tasks, intelligent assistance, and finance, to highly specific command control operation, as well as in the national security. Utilization of AI is believed to increase business efficiency, productivity, and encourage innovation in various sectors.
The minister said that technology has created new products and services to improve efficiency and provide comfort. It is hoped that the use of AI will improve business efficiency, increase productivity, encourage innovations in various sectors, and answer national and regional development problems, including post-COVID-19 pandemic economic recovery, creations of new jobs outside the manufacturing sector such as the logistics supply chain, service centers, and research. IDX Channel reports.
And we're moving on to global updates. South Korea's central bank has put up interest rates for the second time this year amid concerns over higher prices. Meanwhile, Nigeria is planning to give cash handouts to the poor to replace fuel subsidies. More stories on today's International Minute.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson has called on France to agree to take back people who crossed the channel to the UK. The Prime Minister said he had written to French President Emmanuel Macron, setting out 5 steps to move further and faster to avoid a repeat of Wednesday's tragedy where 27 people died. UK government officials are due to attend talks in Calais later, and Home Secretary Priti Patel will meet her French counterpart this weekend to discuss future cooperations. South Korea's central bank has put up interest rates for the second time this year amid concerns over higher price and rising household debt. The Bank of Korea's quarter of the percentage point hike to 1% was widely expected by economists. It is the latest central bank to make such a move as policymakers try to balance the post-pandemic recovery and rising inflation. Turkey's central bank governor said he discussed recent interest rate cuts with bankers at a meeting on Thursday after a slide in the lira to record lows, and he also said that the banking sector was able to overcome market volatility. Turkey's lira was flat on Thursday after a historic slide to all-time lows this week, triggered by President Tayyip Erdogan's defense of interest rate cuts, despite widespread criticisms of his policy direction. Nigeria is planning to give cash handouts to the poor that might cost the government 2.4 trillion naira a year or $5.8 billion in a bid to replace fuel subsidies. The government will give 5,000 naira each to as many as 40 million people every month, beginning from July when fuel subsidies end. A new petroleum law compels the government to allow market force determine gasoline prices. IDX Channel reports.
Market headlines will be back. Stay tuned with us.
Kini aplikasi mClears hadir di handphone Anda untuk memudahkan transaksi Anda. Informasi aktivitas clearing dan penjaminan tidak lagi hanya dapat diakses melalui komputer di kantor Anda, melainkan dapat diakses di mana saja dan kapan saja dalam genggaman Anda. Fitur-fitur mClears, Equity Clearing dan Settlement adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi kewajiban settlement anggota clearing, hingga nilai alternate case settlement serta informasi gagal bayar. Risk management adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi trading limit, kolateral, MKBD, portofolio harian, risk charge anggota clearing dan kombinasi, serta nilai minimum cash collateral. Derivatif adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi trading limit, margin call, dan informasi clearing derivatif. Terkait pinjam-meminjam efek, terdapat fitur mengenai borrowing information dan lendable pool information, serta lending revenue dan borrowing fee. Serta menu lain yang menampilkan informasi mengenai haircut, risk charge saham, dan nilai harga penyelesaian harian dan harga penyelesaian final. Selain itu, Anda juga dapat mengakses fitur pengumuman, peraturan, dan informasi layanan KPEI pada aplikasi mClears. Download aplikasi mClears di App Store atau Google Play Store. Lakukan registrasi user Anda dengan menggunakan alamat email berdomain resmi yang sesuai dengan anggota clearing Anda. Setelah registrasi, Anda akan diberikan kode OTP di email Anda untuk verifikasi. Dan aplikasi mClears Anda siap untuk digunakan. Anda dapat mengakses seluruh menu pada aplikasi mClears dengan melakukan aktivasi berlangganan premium yang dapat dilakukan dengan memilih menu Get Premium. Download aplikasinya sekarang, lakukan registrasi, dan dapatkan kemudahan dalam genggaman tangan Anda. Kemudahan informasi KPEI dalam genggaman Anda.
Back on market headlines, the Ministry of Trade is open about the causes behind the high price of containers. One of the causes of the high cost of containers is the scarcity of containers in many countries, which then affects domestic trade. The Ministry of Trade is open about the causes behind the high price of containers. The Director General of Domestic Trade at the Ministry of Trade, Oke Nurwan, admitted that the price of domestic container shipping is currently getting more expensive. Oke explained that one of the causes of the high cost of containers is the scarcity of containers in many countries, which then affects domestic trade. In addition, Oke said the increase in container shipping prices was also due to rising fuel prices, where bunker costs increased from $600 to $1,200. Not to mention the increase in maintenance costs such as spare parts.
Bahkan di dalam negeri sendiri saat ini kontainer sudah mulai naik untuk daerah-daerah tertentu akibat beberapa hal, perhitungan dari biaya bahan bakar yang meningkat cukup tajam, biaya pemeliharaan yang meningkat cukup tajam, kaitannya dengan biaya pemeliharaan pun dalam mendapatkan suku cadang, selain harganya meningkat, lambat juga masuknya karena suku cadangnya masih melalui impor.
Oke detected a 30% increase in domestic container shipping prices to Sumatra, particularly to Medan, which rose 40%, while Eastern Indonesia rose 15%. However, Oke assessed that this condition is temporary if the situation is normal. IDX Channel reports. Bank Indonesia Governor Periyo Warjio projected bank's credit growth at 6 to 8% in 2022. The growth is expected to be supported by a stable financial system, ample amount of high capital and abundant liquidity. Perry said that third-party funds are projected to grow around 7 to 9% next year. He added that the current supply of bank loans is quite supportive, with interest rates declining and liquidity abundant. Perry revealed that the central bank's focus in 2022 is on lowering bank lending rates further. In the future, Perry emphasized that banking system's excess liquidity will be reduced gradually and very carefully. so it does not interfere with banks' ability to disburse loans and purchase government securities to finance the state budget. He also said that the standard lending index has also improved, and now the policy focus is on increasing credit demand from business world.
Sistem keuangan terjaga, kecukupan modal tinggi, likuiditas melimpah. Dana pihak ketiga dan kredit akan tumbuh masing-masing 7-9% dan 6-8% pada 2022. Ekonomi keuangan digital meningkat pesat. Pada 20
State-run airport operator Angkasa Pura II say the sales of airline tickets during the Christmas and New Year holidays will be possibly limited. The limitation aimed at anticipating crowds of passengers during the Level 3 restrictions implementation. State-run airport operator Angkasa Pura II President Director Muhammad Awaludin said the sales of airline tickets during the Christmas and New Year holidays will be possibly limited. Discussion on the restriction scheme is still afoot among airport managers, aircraft operators, and regulators. Awaludin said that the limitation on the sale of flight tickets during the year-end holidays aimed at anticipating crowds of passengers for a certain period. This will apply to daily transactions. Thus, airline operators will neither increase the frequency of daily passengers nor provide extra flights as they usually did during the high season before the COVID-19 pandemic. Awaludin went on to report that there has been an increase in passenger movements ahead of the year-end holidays. He opined that this is driven by relaxed travel requirements and the rising number of COVID-19 vaccinations. Meantime, the government officially announced that strict COVID-19 curbs will be enforced for all regions during the Christmas and New Year holidays. IDX Channel reports. The government targets to reap an investment of $21.28 billion in the mining sector by increasing the added value for minerals, with some commodities reserves and production being among the top 10 in the world. Energy and Mineral Resources Minister Arifin Tasrif stated that Indonesia was an attractive destination for mining investment based on its potential for production and nickel reserves being largest in the world. In addition to nickel, he noted that bauxite was ranked 6th in the terms of world reserves and production, while Indonesia's copper reserves and production are ranked 7th and 12th respectively. Gold is ranked 5th in the terms of potential and 6th with regard to production. The country's tin potential is the world's second largest, that constitutes 17% of the global reserves and production. And stay with us. Market Headlines will be back with informations from the Indonesian capital market.
Sebanyak 7 bank telah menyetujui restrukturisasi kredit PT Waskita Karya Persero Tbk dengan outstanding sebesar 21,9 triliun rupiah.
Pemirsa, Bursa Efek Indonesia mencatat saat ini terdapat 12 emiten yang berencana melakukan buyback saham.
Pertimbangan dengan 4 rekomendasi saham ini, Pak Rofandi, mungkin untuk Akra terlebih dahulu, Pak.
2 hari ini mungkin dia akan berkonsolidasi dan akan terjadi rebound.
Awal mula Kak Sabrina tuh bisa menjadi analis pasar modal tuh apa sih yang memotivasi hingga tertarik dengan dunia investasi?
Waktu itu aku pengen tahu kira-kira saham itu apa sih sebenarnya gitu kan. Kenapa banyak orang kaya itu terlahir dari dunia capital market. Itulah aku tuh kayak kesannya kayak aku kayak nemuin passion aku gitu karena dunia investasi itu kan lebih ke dynamic, jadi tiap menuntut mereka tuh harus tetap belajar dan belajar.
sebanyak 7 bank telah menyetujui restrukturisasi kredit PT Waskita Karya Persero Tbk dengan outstanding sebesar 21,9 triliun rupiah.
Pemirsa, Bursa Efek Indonesia mencatat saat ini terdapat 12 emiten yang berencana melakukan buyback saham.
Pertimbangan dengan 4 rekomendasi saham ini, Pak Rofandi, mungkin untuk akra terlebih dahulu, Pak.
2 hari ini mungkin dia akan berkonsolidasi dan akan terjadi rebound.
At the Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement earlier today, Jakarta Composite Index was opened at the level of 6,668.57 and then approaching the closing time on the first session. The index was on the level of 6,603.09 and then the index was showing weakening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level 6,561.55. In short, Jakarta Composite Index, or JCI, went down 2.06%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement leading the dynamics of today's trading. We got health sector as the leader of strengthening trend. That went up 0.24%. We got industry sector as the leader of weakening trend. That went down 3.61%. Basic sector went down 2.81% and energy went down 2.6%. And moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Telkom went up 0.25% to the level of 4,010 rupiah per share. Bamboo Kopin went up 1.29% to the level of 314 rupiah per share. Indosat went up 3.86% to the level of 7,400 rupiah per share, and Depo went up 3.33% to the level of 620 rupiah per share. And meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got BBCA went down 2.02% to the level of 7,275 rupiah per share. Bank Rakyat Indonesia went down 1.42% to the level of 4,160 rupiah per share. Meantime, Astra International went down 5.22% to the level of 5,900 rupiah, and Perusahaan Gas, or PGAS, went down 4.29% to the level of 1,560 rupiah per share. And let's see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. Open at the level of 14,324. Rupiah showing weakening trend towards US dollar, and it was closed at the level of 14,384. And in summary, rupiah went down 0.85%. Until the third quarter of 2021, Telkom spent a capital expenditure of around 18.6 trillion rupiah. The management stated that capital expenditure absorption was focused on capacity building. Telekomunikasi Indonesia, or Telkom, spent a capital expenditure of around 18.6 trillion rupiah until the third quarter of 2021. The capital expenditure was focused on capacity building. President Director of Telkom Indonesia, Wicky Adrian, explained that the company has used capital expenditure of 17.5% of total revenue. He said the capital expenditures were mainly used to strengthen network and supporting infrastructure to increase capacity, both in fixed line and mobile business, for a better customer digital experience. Aggressive infrastructure development continues to be carried out so that Telkomsel's digital services run optimally. In September 2021, Telkomsel has built 132,293 base transceiver stations based on 4G. Total BTS owned by the end of the third quarter of 2021 reached 245,710 units, or grew 7.6% year-on-year. Until September, the company's consolidated net profit reached 18.9 trillion rupiah, or grew 13.1% year-on-year. IDX Channel reports. The Mitra Telekomunikasi or Mitratel plans to distribute dividends with a maximum ratio of 70% of profits for the 2021 financial year. The dividend ratio will be proposed at the March 2022 General Meeting of Shareholders. Mitratel Investment Director Hendra Purnama said that Mitratel's dividend ratio will be at the maximum level of 70%. This figure is not much different from the dividend ratio of other tower operator issuers in the 50 to 70% range. In addition to distributing competitive dividends, the subsidiary of Telkom plans to continue its expansion into the digital infrastructure sector. In fact, the Internet of Things already exists in Mitratel's tower. Furthermore, the director said Mitratel will continue to follow other IoT needs that can be marketed in Mitratel towers for business purposes, such as artificial intelligence and others that will enter after 5G. And viewers, step aside from market condition as the efforts in achieving herd immunity is still going on. Here it is an update data about COVID-19 vaccinations in Indonesia. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business and capital market channel. And to prevent the spread of COVID-19, always wear a mask and get vaccinated immediately. Masks have been shown to reduce the risk of transmission by 80%, while vaccines minimize the risk of death by 73%. So let's wear a mask and get vaccinated, because masks and vaccines keep us healthy and happy. And I'm Fajar Wayong. Have a nice evening and stay safe. Have a nice weekend.
Apakah Anda memiliki perusahaan dan ingin mengembangkannya? Perlu dana lebih untuk ekspansi? Ingin kepercayaan lebih dari kreditur dan bank? Perlu peningkatan image perusahaan? Perlu strategic partners? Menghadapi potensi sengketa dalam keluarga pemilik? Butuh penerapan good corporate governance yang